60 years ago this month, President John F. Kennedy was shot while riding in his motorcade in Dallas, Texas. Hours later, a suspect in the assassination named Lee Harvey Oswald was detained and accused of the assassination. 2 days later, Oswald was shot and killed on live television as he was being transferred from the city to county jail. Now, that shooting had a profound impact on our next guest, Paul Metsa, a singer and songwriter who wrote a song about that incident. Welcome, Paul. Good to have you on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
When did you start thinking of re-releasing the song Jack Ruby?
Well, it was, I wrote the song in 1992, performed it at Farm Aid 5 at Texas Stadium, not too far from Dealey Plaza, in front of 20,000 unsuspecting Texans, I might add. Lived to tell the story. I got together with a fellow named John McCauley, a great videographer, and we decided, as the 50th anniversary of the assassination was coming up, that he offered to work with me to put together a video for it. So we released it 10 years ago, and then now with the 60th anniversary coming up, we thought we would re-release it in time for the anniversary.
You know, it's been 60 years since that incident, and now it's been almost 30 years, more than 30 years since you originally released the song. Does the song still have the same meaning to you as when you originally wrote it?
Oh yeah, I remember watching, that was such a tragic week in American history, and I was 7 years old, and I remember watching Jack Ruby shoot Lee Harvey Oswald with my mother on the south side of Virginia, and it was horrific. The assassination itself was horrific, and seeing this live was horrific. Really, when I look back on it, it was the first reality TV show. Over the years, I've read 15 or 20 books on it. I've been to Dealey Plaza twice. I never bought into the Warren Commission idea and their theory of the assassination. And I always thought Jack Ruby, his name had kind of a poetic sound to it. In 1992, I was reading the newspaper, and Jack Ruby's brother was selling some artifacts of Jack's to pay off a tax lien, including his Kavanaugh hat. The line came to me, Jack Ruby in a Kavanaugh hat. Whoever taught you to shoot a pistol like that, from the heaven where all the great songs come from the supreme commander of songwriting, whoever that is. I wish he'd visit me more often. And so I started writing the song, and I had it written for about a month when I had the offer to play at Farm Aid 5, and I thought, I'm going to debut it down there, and I did.
Did you finish it then in short order?
It took me about 12 hours overnight. I put all of my books in front of me. I knew quite a bit about it, but I wanted to find out more about Jack Ruby himself. So I did. About 9 in the morning, I'd been up all night. I called my good friend David Carr, who ended up working for the New York Times, may he rest in peace. I had one line that I needed to plug in, and I gave him the 3 verses, and I needed the 4th, and he said, your president's murder became your, and he said, stock and trade. So I got to thank David Carr for that. 12-verse song, and it was, I feel really that it's really stood the test of time. And people of a certain age group, it really, they relate to it, because that period of American history was affected so many of us so heavily.
Has that become your signature song then?
It's one that gets requested a lot.
It does, yeah. Okay. Well, here's a clip now from the live television coverage in 1963 as Oswald is being led out of the jail by law enforcement.
Basement floor of the Dallas City Hall, and that's a scuffle on the basement floor. It seems to concern the park. He has been shot. Oswald has been shot.
And now live in our studio, here's Paul Metsa performing his original song, Jack Ruby.
Kavanaugh hat. Whoever taught you to shoot a pistol like that? Well, you snuck in the basement, you stood in the back. Jack Ruby in a Kavanaugh hat. Jack Ruby, you were 15 years old. On the south side of Chicago, you looked up to Capone. Stole girls' lunch, money beat boys on the way home. Jack Ruby, you're 15 years old. Jack Ruby, when you were 21. Oh, you traded brass knuckles for a caliber gun. In the Sherman Hotel, bootleg whiskey did run. Jack Ruby, when you were 21. 14 years later, when you were 35, set up shop in Dallas, you had nothing to hide. A nightclub with hookers and cops side by side. Jack Ruby, when you were 35. 14 years later, when you were 49, from the Kiss Club, kept the judges in line. J. Edgar Hoover said there's no organized crime. Jack Ruby, when you were 49. Did the Kingfish in New Orleans give you the key? The man you should contact and the man you should see. Our Confederate cloak of conspiracy with an eye towards November 1963. When the motorcade turned on Houston and Elm and into the crossfire where Camelot fell, where the shots from the bushes, 6th floor window well. In Dealey Plaza, more than 3 empty shells. Was Lee Harvey Oswald the only one? One of those in the bushes who started a run? Secret Service credentials and government guns. Oh, they'd answer no questions about what they had done. Oswald was set up, so he'd say, before he appeared in the basement driveway. And on live television, Ruby blew him away. Well, Godspeed the witness with something to say. Jack Ruby in a Kavanaugh hat. Whoever taught you to shoot a pistol like that? Well, you snuck in the basement, stood in the back. Jack Ruby in a Kavanaugh hat. Jack Ruby, when you were 64, you told Dorothy Kilgallen that you'd even the score. From your jail cell, gave names and numbers and more. In 48 hours, she lay dead on the floor. Jack Ruby, come back from the grave and tell her for real whose lives you would save. And the powers behind the deals that were made, how a president's murder became your stock and trade. Those who are guilty, they're alive to this day. They got the visas in D.C., they got on the way. And others lay low until election day. It was a day of high treason and a quick getaway. Well, did the Warren Commission mean what they say? Or did the mob or oil money get in the way? Did the shadow of Cuba darken the day? In Dallas County, the land of LBJ. In Dallas County, the land of LBJ. Jack Ruby in a Kavanaugh hat. Whoever taught you to shoot a pistol like that? Well, you snuck in a basement, stood in the back. Jack Ruby in a Kavanaugh hat. Jack Ruby in a Kavanaugh hat. Jack Ruby Kavanaugh hat. Jack Ruby in a Kavanaugh. In a Kavanaugh hat.
And here's a reminder that Paul plays every Wednesday at Blackwater in Duluth.